Recording in progress.
Whenever you are ready.
Hey guys, how are you? This is David and Otto Social Proof Podcast. And today we're going to talk about the art of conversation. Online or offline, David?
It's all the same when it comes to art conversation. Online, offline, it doesn't matter. Get good at either. You'll be unstoppable.
That's good, man. So this is more of your field.
Yes, this is what I was really looking forward to.
Yeah.
If you're listening or you're watching, it doesn't matter, just take it in. It's about conversation skills in sense of trying to sell your service. And this would be good, like even in dating, it's a very similar thing because like you're selling yourself. About coming down, it's the small details that count when trying to get a client, and people forget this. So I want to touch on a lot of these stuff today. I want to get Otto's point of view as well and his side of things, so you get both sides of how we do it and give you more understanding, on getting clients for yourself or service, whatever you're selling.
That sounds good. I think like this podcast, this episode is going to be a little bit more different because I'm going to be asking you more questions. So basically, we were talking about the art of conversation. I understand about sales. I've been in sales before. Now, it is important for businesses these days and entrepreneurs and online coaches to understand what you call the art of conversation for them to connect with people faster. And by that, I mean for them to talk in a way that will lead the conversation to hopefully have that person as a potential client. Is that right?
Yes. Just in the light. Yeah, agree. There, like when you're starting a conversation with someone, like it's so simple. People forget that's another human being on the other side. They forget this. Like,
but do you think they forget that? And sorry to interrupt you, right? Because this is gonna be different. Do you think they forget because there's more of agenda? Because they're thinking, I'm gonna communicate now, and hopefully this person will be a client. Is that right?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say is they want to get through as many conversations as they can, so it gives them better odds to get a client that day or that week. But the only thing about what they're doing is they could be burning a lot of bridges while they're doing that. If they're doing these kind of salesy kind of tricks of actually, this is organic way now I'm talking about, of approaching people. I'm going to give you an example. Facebook is a great way for getting clients. If you are a coach, Facebook is very, very important. Instagram is good, but I'm more of a Facebook person for getting more touch with Facebook. I mean, like you get better clients there. You know how to find them in groups. It's easier to get them and get the conversations going. Then Instagram, it's great putting your messages out there and your brand, but it's harder to get conversations going. It's easy when they come to you, but to go out there and find them, it's a lot harder on Instagram. Facebook, you find them in groups. So I'll give you an example of, okay, I want to explain this a bit more. So I'll give you an example how to find clients on Facebook. So say if you're a coach and you want to help other coaches, or if you're a yoga teacher, doesn't matter what you do, you find groups for that niche. So if it's yoga, you're trying to find people who want to learn yoga. So you go into them groups that people want to learn how A to B, how to start, how to master it. You go into them groups, you find people, you see the conversation, you put your value in certain topics in that conversation because you're the expert coming in here.
Sorry, can you hear my dog barking?
Yeah, but it's okay, it's not distracting. Right. And then you find people in groups, and obviously, I'm trying to fit in as much as possible here. You optimize your personal profile, so when people land on it, they know who you're about. Put it as like a resume. So I'm jumping topic here, but this is going to make sense in a second. You optimize your profile in a way that when someone lands on it, it's like your resume, CV, so they get to know who you are, what you're all about, and they trust you. So say if you have that already done. So when you're in these groups, you be starting adding people. as friends, because you know they're interested in learning more about, say, yoga, as an example. And then when you add them as friends, then you get the conversation started with them. And this way a lot of people goes wrong when getting the conversation started. A lot of people leave their names out. So if I was mentioning yourself, it's bad. I wouldn't skip over your name and say, hey, and skip over your name, move on. I would say, hey, Otto, how are you today? Or whatever the conversation will be. You put their name in. But I've noticed a lot of people skips their name because they usually copy and paste this template and to get as many people as can, which they think they're doing great, but they're not, because their reply or opens is going to be very low, because they're not being that person to touch. They're not giving that person respect. If you spend more time, okay, go to this person's profile, see what they're all about, use their name, ask them questions, get the conversation going. If the person's into horses and you've seen horse pictures, say, hey, Sarah, I see, great to connect with you. I see you're a big fan of a certain breed of horses. Have you been riding them kind of horses for long? Like, say if she was a teacher, school teacher, or riding like for horses wise, it doesn't matter what she was doing. And that gets the conversation on because it'd be something close to their heart. But a bad example is someone copy and paste and goes in, leaves the name out and say, hey, I see you're a yoga teacher. Are you getting 10 clients a week? How many clients are you closing? What we do is we can close this amount of clauses in this amount of time. And it's just like, whoa, take a step back. Give me a bit of breathing room. And I see so many people doing this. And that is a wrong way of doing it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
Do I explain
absolutely,
that?
man.
I'm not going to jump back and forward.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Like I totally agree with you, especially on social media when nobody's you don't go on social media waiting for someone to sell you something right away, right?
Yeah, great.
Now to back that up, as you're saying, it is important not for people who are looking to get some clients or to have this conversation with potential customers. Going to somebody's profile or sending a message without a backup plan, right? And that backup plan, what you touched right there was, have your profile set up properly for people, even for those people who are not, who are gonna ignore you. At least they click in there and they see like this is what I'm all about. Okay.
Agree.
And look, and you're not gonna, and another thing that I think is very important to say is that not everybody is gonna connect with you. But by them going to your profile, hopefully, potentially going to your profile and seeing what you have in there already, like if it's a personal photo or is it a business photo, if that resonates with them, then they might get in touch with you. They might reply back. And that has happened to me, as I know that has happened to you as well. That's why we encourage people to, it's not about messaging only, it's about being have your profiles like very clear on what you're offering or what you're all about.
I got a good example of, say if you're applying for a job, what would you do? You have a resume. So when you go in and hand them a resume, they have to say, okay, your name is David. Okay, you're David Staunton, and then they show my age and my address and what I'm all about and what my interests are, what I've done in the past, my hobbies, everything. So put that same logic into your personal profile. So Otto lands on my page. Who is this David about? Oh, I like his stuff. He seems a trustworthy guy. His picture stood out to me. Actually like his message. It says the details in the bio. Okay, he put out a lot of content. He's around for a while. He seems like he's know what he's doing. There's a lot of comments. There's a lot of love on his page. Okay, pretty cute. Oh, he's a Facebook group as well. Let's check it out. Geez, he's a lot of personal knowledge in this as well. Like he's given a lot of value here. He must know what he's actually talking about. And I've actually been looking for a coach. This man could be, I better get on to him, have a conversation with him. See what I did there? That is just powerful. That's just someone landing your page, going through the system of you put. It's like a funnel system. All the information is there for them to see and get to know you about. before even to get on the call or even in a conversation and measure with you.
Yeah.
That alone is powerful.
Yeah. And it's about making that first step, right? Because we all want more business, and there has to be a way for us to communicate with whoever we want to communicate with. That's why I like the idea of being interested, right, in other people, because that approach that you said at the beginning, that it is the wrong approach, is it's an approach done by someone who's not interested at all in who's the other person. No. By you going on a picture on a Facebook group or on a story, taking a profile picture and saying like, hey, look, it seems like you like this stuff. And I understand, maybe even myself, like for some reason, I could think like, well, you're going with an agenda. Do you really care about these people? Well, if I can see something that I like about this person already, that's helping me to be more interested in this person. But if I don't do that step that you are actually suggesting, I will never know. I'm just like, I'm just thinking of number. Huh?
Yeah. Sorry for cutting you off. You build that connection, and like they remember you. Like I got a message the last day trying to sell me. They left my name out and they just did a big long speech. I didn't reply, and they replied to me again. He's still there, so I just said, "Why not message them back here?" I said, "No, you left your name out. You should be putting the name in. Just give me a tip." And they got all defensive, saying this works, and so I laughed, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sure it does." They go, "Oh, check it up in Google." So, and I was like, I passed it up and laughed. What they did there is they've done a pyramid scheme. So they buy out ads in Google. So when people check them up, there's articles there.
Wow.
It's big load BS. I didn't mention this to you. And then they get a certain amount of calls. So this one fella hiring all these women. That's a woman approached me, and it's a pyramid scheme to get you in on it. And that's all that is. And they're just copy and pasting to hundreds per day. Same. And they're going to catch a certain amount of people who fall for it, and hook you in, and then it's just a money waster.
Yeah,
and man. That's the type of people I'm like warning you, don't go near or hop on as a coach, because you're going to burn money, and they're going to promise you all these calls coming your way, and it's just a load of BS.
And this is only going to get worse. It's it's gotten worse already on Instagram. It's insane. I can even check now and see like how many Instagram DMs I have from a massive, like someone with a script, right? Bullet points, a massive picture. Follow this guy because he helped me to, like, shush. If he helped you, why don't you just like following whatever he's saying to you and just work hard on that, right? Like nobody's gonna just go there and check it out just because someone who doesn't have that's another thing. Like if these people, right, had a proper profile, right, reaching out that way, saying like, hey, this guy helped me, and then you see this person profile and you see like, well, this person is different to that other person, and look what wow, like it's like this is a group of successful people. Let me see what is in there. But these guys go and start reaching out with the profile that is not even set up for approaching people, and then they want, I know, go to that guy because he's helping me. It's like, no, it's not gonna work, guys. Not gonna work on me.
We have with that bond, like, and then more people get to know you, the better. It's like you are the brand. Get your message out there, and then in time you can change yourself from the brand to the business name. But at the beginning, get yourself out there as the brand. Push it.
I like the analogy of CV. I really like that, what you just said there.
It's so true. Like people are so used to a resume. It's the same logic when it comes to selling yourself as a brand.
I never thought it. Yeah, I never thought it that way, man. Like when you have a CV, and just for why, to me, that analogy made me realize, like, yes, that makes so much sense. That's a better way to explain things. You have a CV. This is your expertise. Obviously, you're gonna have that. And even in CVs, you have like what your hobbies are or passionate about. If you're reading like a really good in detail CV, so bring that up, show it. Don't like, obviously, just show it. Like, this is what I like. This is what I do. This is what I've done.
Yeah, in your content, short. Like Instagram and Facebook is different to this now. So say it was Facebook, you can get more personal, like in content, like caption, because more people read your caption on Facebook than Instagram. But you can do it still on both. So like if your hobby is like going out playing football, show you the football kicking a video, it doesn't
That's
matter.
true.
Just
That's
show it.
yeah. Look, this is the thing. That is the you have to work. I mean, that strategy, I think it will work in Facebook, and I think Instagram, it'll be there's more friction because I believe a lot of people are jumping on Instagram not for the same purpose that they're jumping on Facebook. And if you're gonna if you're gonna send a friend request to someone from a personal profile, we have this perception that our personal profiles are, they're personal. But Instagram, yeah, exactly. But Instagram, unless you have it private, if it's public and you have stuff in there, people are thinking of you as like, oh, these guys do this, or this guy he's doing that stuff. But on Facebook, it'll be different. It's like, well, this is a guy and he happens to do this stuff. Does that make sense?
Agree. No, I do agree. There's different platforms. The only thing about Instagram is when I say to people who want to put themselves out there, don't be copying everyone. Just be you, be unique. Because, and you hear that a lot, but it's true. If you don't want to do this or don't want to do that, just talk to the camera, put out your knowledge, do different scenes, do different things, play around with reels when that comes out of things. I see a lot of people get sucked in about. I seen some post before or reel saying, "Oh, when you get up, do a certain amount of engagement." And I started laughing and I left a comment. I was like, "How about with the time you have, set conversations going where you get money? You ain't going to get any money from engagement all the time. You get money from conversations.
Yeah.
It goes to clients. So there's a lot of BS on Instagram. So just, I know that's a side
Oh,
note, but just be careful."
yeah, 100%. So what recommendations would you give apart from, okay, so let's just like make some sort of a summary here, right? First of all, care about someone else when you're approaching them, okay? Set up your Facebook account or your Instagram account properly so whoever decides to reply or check you out, it's clear, it's there. You're your own brand, all right? And that's another thing. You are your own brand. Even if you have a business or not right now, you are your own brand right now on social media. And if you're actually trying to communicate with people who you potentially want to have as client, then how would you like to look like?
Yeah, just show you. Don't try to act as someone else. Like, give example on Facebook. Don't try to act as like you're a coach. Like I'm a coach. I'm not going to act as another coach that's ahead of me. I'm like, it's not going to work for me. That's his talent. That's his unique. Just be me, my unique. Like one of the things I bought along, it wasn't out there. It was called, I bought the art conversation out there. There's no other thing like that in selling. The only one come close is art of selling. That's the only thing I seen come close to what I do. And that's on Facebook. So be your unique. Like how I found that out was just over time, more experience. After more conversation, I was like, and the more I said a few times, I started a conversation. And I was like, that's actually quite catchy. So that's why it's one of my pillars in my what I sell to people is I teach them the art of conversation. So when it comes to Facebook, just be unique. Come across as you, like help. Get out there in groups. You're meshing. The most important thing is conversations. So after your page optimizer, like a resume or CV, whatever you want to call it, you're putting content up every day. Then just get conversations going. Have a certain amount per day. Because when I say have a certain amount per day, say it's between 10 and 20. And then the next day, obviously, be catching up with other people who the day before. But then keep doing new ones each day because there's always someone new circulating. Don't just rely on, oh, I think that client, I think it's going to be a client, and then it falls apart, and you're like, where you left. But if you keep enough conversations per day, there's always someone in the pipeline for you to get on a call with. Like even after I get up this doing this video with you, I have 2 calls lined straight up. So always have someone actually waiting in the pipeline. Don't have the pipeline empty. Always keep conversations coming in. It takes time to get better at it. So be patient. Start ending up with small so you get used to it and I'll be overwhelmed bit by bit and learn the harder conversation. And just be human. It's another person on the end. Don't treat them as a number. Start a nice civil conversation first with them. Need your respect. and then ask what they do, what's the passion, and it turn into work.
Would you mind giving the audience or the listeners,
Our listeners,
our listeners, we're on 150.
150 downloads, people. Just say thank you very much. And
Thank you very much. I know,
appreciated.
I know, 100%. Even when we started, we had like 10. I was like, what? We have 10?
And now we had 150, and we didn't do one the last few weeks because we've just been busy.
A few weeks, like over a month ago. Christmas, I moved, as you see. I don't have the best background right now.
We're back being consistent though. Don't worry.
Yeah.
What was your question?
Would you give away a couple of lines for people to use and open a conversation?
Couple of lines. Okay. Conversation. Say you're starting with someone who's coming in, who is a coach as well, and they're yoga, and you're like, okay, you do what I do and teach people conversation. I'll find and go on the page and say, okay, they're a yoga teacher, and you don't want to be talking about there straight away. There's different ways going in, but I'm going to give you the very cold reach. Like going in, they don't know who you are. So you say her name is Sarah, and you're like, do you find someone she likes? Her last post was really good. Sarah was about some technique and stretching. Hey Sarah, it's actually great to connect with you. Oh, thanks for connecting with me. Love your last post. It really connected to me. I was always struggling with that issue of that stretch. Have you been doing it long? Or how's your week going? You can jump straight into a bit of work there if you want. That's kind of where you can say, how's your week going? How are you? Something simple that way.
Or you can say like, how can I build up to that stage of stretching? Would you continue the conversation?
You can ask more about that. Oh yeah, you can say, to take you long to, yeah, actually that's perfect. Another version of it. It took me a while to actually get that, but it's working now. Did it take you long to get to that technique? And they were like, oh, it took me a couple of weeks or a couple of months of doing pressure to it, but I got there. Well, that's pretty cool. Like, is it hot yoga? Is it cool? I haven't heard the names of yoga is.
Yeah.
I only know hot yoga because that's what I did before. But you ask them more about it, and they're like, yeah, okay.
Which is great, by the way. I love hot yoga.
It's great, actually. And they give you answer back, and then you say, okay, thanks for that. And then that'll be the segment. And they say, how has your week been so far? Or you can go straight into work and say, have you been teaching this long? I see you're a coach. They're like, oh, and you kind of got into work then on a very positive note. And they're like, oh, I've been doing this so long. And then he's like, oh, is that in person or is that online? Oh, I just got started online lately. Oh, pretty cool. Like, have you got many clients since you got online? If you don't mind me asking. No, I'm kind of struggling in that sense of just actually reaching clients. Oh, can I ask, what have you been trying to get clients? Oh, yeah, I put up a few posts and I kind of got no engagement and no one's talked to me. And like, did you get any conversations going? No, are you meant to do that? And they're like, oh, I would love to have map. If you don't mind me asking, I would love to map out a plan. If you have 15 minutes to spare there to jump on a call, there you go. Of course, that sounds great. And there you are. You have them on a call.
Look at you, huh? In the flow. He knows his thing.
On the flow, but it's true. It's just it's just a matter of getting to know the skill and get to A to B. And ask, and I see how there. I wasn't a robot. I wasn't salesy. I'm actually was curious.
Yeah.
Something I liked as well. Yoga. That's not a lie. So you find things like that relate. Another one is like dogs. People love dogs. I'm a big dog love. I love dogs, like in a healthy way. And we're not going on with them kind of jokes. But on a serious note, like you say someone's dog, you're like, oh, what breed is that dog? And that's going into their heart. So just be relatable. Talk to them. I see your dog walking on the beach last day. That's a really cool beach. Where is that? Like, ask questions. Be curious. Just relate to them. Relate to this person, and they relate to you. Get them into your circle, and then they start seeing your feed, and they'll be interested more because they keep seeing your content pop up. Your resume be screaming, "Look at me! Look at me!" And that's how it's done. The passion of organic. I'm telling people. I see people come along thinking they should just do ads straight away. And that's your more side of things. But I'm like, if you don't have much of a budget to play with ads, because you have to, this man knows you have to play a certain amount of ads to spend to get the data, organic is the way to go. Because if you don't have some, like, it's all free. Facebook free, Instagram free, Facebook group free. All you do is your own time, which is not really free when you think about it. But if you want to build something, you have to put your time on it, be consistent, get a coach, save time, and you will get there.
I agree.
And if you want to know about Facebook ads, go to this man.
Or content creation or anything else.
Website. He's a man of multitask, man multi-skilled.
Oh, well, I've been around for a long time.
So like, this, you can tell, I go we both very passionate when it comes to marketing. We both go off on different rants about different things.
Oh,
I like
a lot of them.
And I love his views on, because he's more ads and marketing and designing, and I love when he goes off ranting. I'm like, and then I just throw my stuff in like a span in the works, just to spice things up. So don't be like, there's nothing wrong with either method.
Yeah, absolutely. Even myself, like I started doing organic, and it's like again, like going back to being human, right? You will approach conversations differently. What David can show to you is a guideline of things that you can develop, all right? And that's what I like about David's work. He's very structural in that regard. When conversation should be an art, and art, there's no structure. But the beauty of the art of communication, especially coming from David, is that he teaches a structure that will allow you develop that skill. And once you start developing that skill, you can do whatever you want. It's about knowing who you are in that environment. So once you start approaching people with guidelines like what David just shared with you, just very, very quickly, by following those guidelines, you will start discovering, oh, I can do this. Oh, and now I can do that. And then you can innovate and create more, a different way for you to communicate with people. But at the end of the day, it's about communicating with others. If you're going to provide a business, you're providing a business not to a company. You're providing a business, and yeah, it can be a big company, but you're going to be selling your product or services to a person or to a group of people. And that's why the art of conversation is so important. And conversation and communication, if you really think about it, the most successful people that you see out there, they know how to communicate. In fact, that's something, and I'm telling you, when I came to Australia, I have never thought of myself like, oh, I'm a great communicator, or I like to make new connections. I have never thought myself of that way, but it was because 10 years ago, I realized, like, wow, all of these people that I'm looking up to, all of them, and you can, even those ones that I don't look up to, like politicians, like they have to learn how to communicate with whatever agenda they have in the back. But Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, you name them. Steve Jobs was great. In fact, I have a book in there about Steve Jobs' way of communicating.
Grant Cardone as well. He's gifted in now.
Grant Cardone, all of these guys know how to handle a hard or a nice conversation.
How did they get started? They just started doing it. So they're thinking, oh my God, how do I get to level 10? You have to start at level 1, level 2, level 3. It's exactly, you build yourself up.
Exactly.
It's true. You just have to be consistent. You want to have your days, you want to throw the laptop out the window or whatever device you're using because you get frustrated. And you have great days, you're going to run around dancing. Just take the good or the bad. It is the journey. You will get frustrated. But try to save them journey headaches by actually getting a coach or mentor in that certain thing you want and make sure they're good, and you will get there quicker.
Yeah.
So I'll be leaving my link below for the Art of Conversation. I'm going to plug it here because this is our channel, and I will leave it. You can come find me on my Facebook group or my Facebook page. So I'll leave the link for both, and obviously we'll leave the link for myself and himself as well. So if you want to contact either of us for either ads, website, design, anything that man, conversation wise, organic wise, contact me. And just gonna get started, or even just have questions for either of us about any of this kind of stuff we talk about. Just reach out. Don't be afraid.
100%. Look,
You don't ask, you
overall,
don't know.
if you want to have, conversation or whatever brand, whatever you want to do with your own personal brand, just reach us, because we're gonna be able to help you out. Okay.
Yeah, like we're both got knowledge between both of us. Like you see like listen to our podcast. There's no BS. It's we teach simple stuff because it is simple. Not at the heart, it's hard, don't get me wrong. But over time, this process is simple. It's just being consistent and doing it day in, day out. Be willing to learn more, be willing to listen to people who knows what they're at, and go for that person who you want to be. So I say if someone's like 3 steps ahead of you, hire that person and you know they're like, real, not fake BS. Hire that person and aim for that level they're at. And then when you get to level 3, aim to get to level 6. There's just different levels. Don't try to jump for level 10 because you're just going to get overwhelmed, burnt out, and actually, oh my God, how does he do all that? But he's a team behind him. But you aim for the person, male or female, the guy, person level 3, they're just like probably by themselves, just be willing to get a team behind them. And you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I can get there. It feels much easier to get to level 3 than level 10. But then when you're level 3, it'd be much easier to get to level 3 to level 6 and so on. So always look at it that way. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It's the same logic behind it.
100%. I agree with you.
Really enjoyed this podcast today.
I'm sure you did. You were talking about what you love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, man. Yeah, me
I
too. I like this way of me asking questions. I really like that.
And what we do a spin next week. The next podcast, I'll be asking Otto. So you get both sides of us. So this day was more of a direct conversation. Next week, we won't tell you what we'll be doing yet because he probably has to come up with his title.
Yeah.
And,
I was like,
talk about Otto. So you get to know us more on a different personal level. And then maybe the one after that, we'd have a kind of nice, easy going one again of something different topic.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, really, or are struggling with something about building your own brand online, if you have a business, or if you don't have a business just yet, you're just trying to figure out what you want to do, just comment down below. That will give us more ideas for us to talk on this show. So
yeah. We leave our links for Facebook and Instagram. I'll leave my Facebook, 2 for Facebook and Instagram as well. So there's no issue getting me. There'll be 3 options of message to be there.
Yeah.
And same with Otto with his. So there's nothing to stop you from reaching out to either of us.
That's it. We're happy to help. Perfect.
Now, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I really enjoyed it. Come back next week. Listen, keep coming back. Listen down and tell your friends, family, loved ones, cousins, aunts, uncles, every person. Just, we're family here. We're a community.
That's it. That's it. I love that. I love that. All right, guys, that was great. I really enjoyed this podcast as well. And next week, as David said, we're gonna be talking about something that I really want to share with you guys, and I think it's very important for you guys to be on that show next week.
Yes, it's going to be good. You know this was good. Wait till the next one. Oh.
All right.
Thanks, guys, and we'll chat to you next week.
Cheers, man. Bye.